Hey, what's up you guys? So today I wanted to do the mid-year book Freak Out Tag. I think that's the name of it. I can't remember. It's fine. So in total I read 3 books in January, 1 in February, 3 books in March, 9 books in April, 3 books in May, and 5 books in June. 24 books, which I think so far is pretty good for half of the year. I'm hopeful that I can keep up this trend and do another 24. Let's set a Goodreads yearly book goal. I want to reach 50 books this year. I don't feel like that's not doable. Now that I've kind of summed up my reading so far this year, let's start off with the questions. So the first question is the best book you've read so far in 2020, and this hands down goes to The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I absolutely love that book, as you guys know. I talked about it in my January wrap-up, which is the first video that I posted on this channel, so you can check that video out if you like this one. And I really just enjoyed that book so much. I thought Evelyn was iconic. I thought she was so relatable, and I absolutely loved her story and her growth throughout her story, and I really loved her motivations and her drive and her passion and her ambition. I just thought she was such a strong character. I really love books that have strong characters who really stand on their own and who really stand for something and who are able to really just leave me thinking about them after the fact. Like, I sat and thought about The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo like weeks after I read it. It was just that good. I love how Evelyn Hugo was unapologetic for her life. She knows that she did things that people think are bad. She knows that she did things that she thinks is bad, but she doesn't care because she wound up with people that she loved in her life, and she wound up with a life that she felt proud of, or she had relationships that she was proud of. She had a daughter she was proud of. She had a partner who she was happy with, who, you know, she went through a lot of struggles to become happy with. And I just found that so admirable, and I just loved her struggle, and I really recommend that book if you have not read it yet. So the next question is the best sequel you've read in 2020. And for this, I have to go with The Wicked King by Holly Black. I really enjoyed Folk of the Air trilogy that she had written. I thought it was very reminiscent of Cassandra Clare's writing style, and I love Cassandra Clare's writing style. I really enjoyed The Mortal Instruments. And so I really enjoyed the Folk of the Air trilogy, and The Wicked King was definitely a strong sequel. I do feel like it had some flaws, but as far as the sequels that I've read in 2020, it's the best one of them. So number 3 is a new release you haven't yet read but are wanting to. So a new release that I still want to read is A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So this is the prequel to the Hunger Games trilogy. I'm sure you've all heard of it. I really enjoyed the Hunger Games. Catching Fire was okay. Mockingjay I hated, and I am curious to see what she did with Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I have watched some people talk about it in non-spoilery reviews and such, and most of the people that I've watched didn't enjoy it. And so I'm curious if it's something that I'm going to enjoy or not. And so I just kind of want to get around to it and read it so that way I can discuss it with you guys. So number 5 is the biggest disappointment. And so far, my biggest disappointment was Ready Player One. I really expected to love this book because most of my friends love it. And it was okay. It had some strong moments. It had some weak moments. And I just really did not like the romance in it at all. I thought the romance subplot didn't mesh with the plot that was going on in the book. And I thought that the relationship just in general was not the healthiest in this book. I also didn't like how unclear of a picture of the real world I got. I felt like I got a clear picture of Oasis, which is the video game in this book, but I don't feel like I got a clear picture of the real world and what things looked like, because it was just generalized. Global warming happened, people don't have a lot of money, a lot of people live in stacks. Like, can you explain that a little bit more? Like, this world sounds very interesting with how it's gone to shit. I kind of want to know more about that other than it's gone to shit. So number 6 is the biggest surprise, and for this I'm going to go with Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. So I read Leigh Bardugo's Shadow and Bone trilogy earlier this year. I read that back in January, and I did not really like that series that much, if I'm being completely honest. I thought that the world building was not great in those books. I did like the characters, but the world building was just, it left me wanting more. And this book delivered so much more. I was not expecting it to go from like 0 to 60 on Leigh Bardugo and her writing, because she just improved so much. And I love when you can see that in authors, when they improve writing from one book to another one. And this book, it just did it so well, and I absolutely loved it. Read Six of Crows if you haven't, because I really love this book. I really want to discuss it more. I've got a book talk for it if you want to discuss it with me, because I loved it. So number 7 is new favorite author, and for this I'm going to go with Leigh Bardugo because, as I said, I've kind of seen her writing style and how it's grown and changed. And I really look forward to reading some of her newer works. I really want to read King of Scars because, oh my god, Nick, I really want to see him grow and develop more because he was one of my favorite characters. I absolutely loved his character, and so I'm really curious to see it in King of Scars, and I just loved seeing her writing progress, and so I'm sure that's only going to get better from there because it's only improved as far as I've seen with her works. So number 8 is newest fictional crush, and for this I'm not really going to pick a new fictional crush. I'm just going to pick an old fictional crush because I've been rereading these books and he is such a crush because I just love him, and I really want to talk about how much I love him because from the Bloodline series, he is everything that I want and more. He's like a bad boy with a heart of gold, and I absolutely loved it, and I just love him. I love that trope. I know that it's way overdone, but I just feel like he is the embodiment of everything that I want. He shows so much personal growth throughout the Bloodline series, and as far as me and my ideals, I believe that it is really important for people to constantly be trying to improve because we are not perfect. You know, we constantly make mistakes and we will always constantly go on making mistakes. And I feel like Adrian really shows what it means to personally grow because he grows and he develops and he changes for the better, and he's able to see things that he does that aren't necessarily the best things for him to be doing. He's able to see ways in which he can improve. He's able to see the things that he doesn't put as much work into, and he's like, that's not good because I know I can do better. And I just love that mentality because I think that we should all strive for that. Like, for example, with YouTube, with every video you put out, you should try to make the next one a little bit better. Maybe it won't perform as well, but you should always try to do it a little bit better than you did before so that you are learning and you are growing as a person. And I love that he really embodies that ideology. So newest favorite character. Do I want to go with Inej or do I want to go with Evelyn? I love them both. So I'm just going to talk about them both because I love Evelyn. I've already kind of discussed her, so I'm just going to say Evelyn Hugo and leave it at that. And then let's talk about Inej. So I thought that she was such an awesome character. She had such a great backstory. I really loved how she grew and how she changed throughout the story. I loved how she learned kind of to deal with some of her issues, and at the same time, she hadn't dealt with all of them by the end of the duology. There were still things left unresolved, and I liked that. I liked that it wasn't as neat as I would have liked for her. I liked that her and Kaz had things that they couldn't do with one another that other people could because they had trauma in their past, and I just think that that is so well shown in this book that you don't just get over trauma in a day. You don't just get over trauma in a week or in a few months. It's lifelong that you deal with things sometimes, and I liked seeing that in Inej and seeing that in some of the characters in Six of Crows. So the next prompt is a book that made you cry, and this year I reread Harry Potter, and Book 7 always makes me cry when Fred dies because he is my OG book crush. He is my OG book love. I, to this day, love Fred, and I cannot get him out of my mind as far as guys that I'm looking for. I want someone who's funny, and I want someone who's not afraid to break their rules every once in a while to make someone's day. He just is such a fun character, and he's so fun-loving, and he has such cute moments with all of our main cast. Whenever he dies, I cry. That's essentially what I'm saying. I love Fred. I cry. Book 7, chapter 30-something, Battle of Hogwarts, last paragraph, I cry. So 11 is a book that made you happy. And for this, I'm going to go with Good Omens. I thought this book was so fun. It had so many funny lines in it. It had so many quotable quotes. It's one of those books where I can think of the quotable quote. It reminds me of things like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and I just think books like that are really fun. It may not be a 5-star book, but it is a fantastic read. So fun, so funny. The characters are just, they're dynamic with each other. It's so cool. So number 12 is the most beautiful book that you have bought or received in the year. So I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I don't really remember all the books that I've bought in the past year. So I think I'm gonna go with Scythe. It's an unread book that I own. I really like the cover. I think that it looks really simple, but at the same time, it really shows a lot of what you're gonna get in this book. And so I am excited to read this book based off of the cover. I mean, I'm excited to read it for other reasons as well, but the cover really helps. So I'm just gonna go with Scythe, even though I know that it's probably not the most beautiful cover that I've bought in the year. Last but not least is what books do you want to read by the end of the year? And so for this, I'm just going to talk about a selection of books that I would like to read. Obviously, I am smart. I want to read Scythe. I would like to finish the Throne of Glass series. I would like to read the An Ember in the Ashes series, Turtles All the Way Down by John Green, An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. Thank you so much for watching. This was my version of the mid-year book freakout tag. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Ring that notification bell so you can get notified when I post new videos. Question of the day: what was your favorite book so far in this first half of the year? Answer that down below in the comment section. I post videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, so I will see you then. Goodbye.